Cool, let's get this started. Welcome everybody to our second webinar actually about scroll sites. This is a special one because it's the first time that we're actually showcasing some of the new ready-to-use themes that will be available for users when we launch. And these are the blog themes. So if you are a Scroll Viewport user already, you are familiar with our Help Center theme. So now, in addition to being able to create a great online help center, you'll be able to create a beautiful professional blog site from your Confluence content with the themes created by some of our guests today. So let's introduce them. So we're your hosts. My name is Shannon. I'm leading product marketing at K15T. Also on the K15T side is Laura, who's the product manager for Scroll Viewport and Scroll Sites. And we're here today with Simon and Marcus, who are the co-founders and lead developers at Gorilla Apps. If you guys want to say hi real quick.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Cool. Yeah, so actually kind of fun. Our relationship with Simon goes way back. A fun fact is that he used to work at K15T, actually directly with Laura and I way back when. We were part of the original Scroll Documents team, so he knows quite a bit about Confluence already. And today, Simon and Marcus have a company called Gorilla Apps, and they are experts in building apps primarily for Monday.com, if I'm not mistaken. But they have ventured back into our space to help create some really exciting themes for Confluence users. And that's what we're going to show off today. But before we do that, I'd like to give you all a brief update on where we're at with Scroll Sites and our progress. I know we have a lot of our beta signups here on this call today as well. So we will also talk about blogging in Confluence in general. So I'm sure that you already know you can blog with Confluence. So we'll show you what will become possible with Scroll Sites as well. Then I will hand over to our guests to showcase the new themes. And finally, we'll show some information about how the private beta is going. As of a couple weeks ago, we're officially underway, and just share what that means for you, what's also on the horizon. And if you have any questions along the way, we will have plenty of time at the end, but feel free to use the chat as we go. We actually have a couple of the people from the Scroll Sites team who will try to field those as we go along. But yeah, there will be plenty of time at the end. And with that, just a very quick intro about who we are. If you don't know us yet, we are K15T. We are the creators of Scroll Viewport and a number of other apps for both Confluence and for Jira. And at K15T, our goal is to help you share your knowledge everywhere that it's needed. So Scroll Viewport is just one of the many apps that we offer that enable you to share your information and your knowledge that you create in Confluence and share it with those who need it most. This could be as documents, it could be across Jira instances, and as the topic suggests today, it could be as a custom site, like a help center or a knowledge base, or even as a blog. So that's where Scroll Sites comes in. So with Scroll Sites, the goal with the launch will be that you're able to deliver your Confluence content as branded, high-performance websites of all kinds. So for over 10 years, we've had Scroll Viewport, which makes it easy for users to share their Confluence content as a beautifully branded help center. But Scroll Sites will be the next generation of that. And it's not just a name change. So Scroll Sites will offer a way more flexible way for you to publish Confluence content of high-performance sites of all kinds. And it's a very fresh start. So we've removed some of the limitations that we had with Scroll Viewport. We want to introduce new capabilities, obviously new themes, and just offer a lot more flexibility. And all of that is coming together. So I'm excited to hand over to Laura, our product manager, who will give you a quick look at what state the product is in right now and what's to come.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shannon. A lot of you, I've seen the names, are actually already on the beta sign-up list. Some of you already have access. And a lot of you have attended the first webinar where we showed a little bit about what Scroll Sites will bring. So today we'll just look at the screens to give you a first-hand look at what features you're expecting before we dive into the blog-specific topic. So a lot of you are Scroll Viewport customers already. So creating a site is really easy and remains to be easy in scroll sites, just like it was in Scroll Viewport. So you start out by creating one site. Afterwards, you can create unlimited number of sites to address any use cases you might have. So when we click creating a site, the first thing that you'll be able to choose, and this goes back to the main topic today, is the theme. So the theme defines not just the look and feel of your site, but also the features it contains. So depending on what you want to bring to the web, you might choose one theme over another. So the Help Center theme is actually a really popular theme that is already exists in Scroll Viewport, and it continues to exist in Scroll Sites. So the Help Center theme, as the name says, allows you to publish a Help Center site to the web. And then we have two new block themes, which you can see here, which we will talk about in a moment. But creating a site essentially starts by you making that selection. Then in the next step, you choose a site name, and deriving from that or something else, you choose the site URL. And then in the next step, you tell us which content you want to publish on the site. So normally, you don't want all of your content from Confluence to be shown in that website. So you just make a selection. For example, you choose a space whose pages you want to show in the site. Or in the examples that we will see in a bit from Gorilla Apps, you show your blog from a space. Once you've made that selection, what content should appear in the site, you will see that the site will be in this creation process. And in the next step, so for the Help Center theme, which is the theme that most of you will be familiar with, as you know, you can deliver your Confluence content as a search-friendly, accessible, and branded Help Center for your users. We have multilingual support, versioning, content variants, AI-powered search, in-app help, and so on. And this theme, which we will see in a second, is built by us, and it's provided in the app for all users, always at no additional costs. So this is what it looks like. I'm sure your Help Center looks really similar to this. The search is everywhere you go to really deliver the help experiences to inform, educate, and support your users. Then, as I mentioned just now, you can manage and publish versions thanks to our integration with our other app called Scroll Documents. So if you have your documentation or your content in multiple versions, you're able to say which versions should be published to your site, and then your users can select via a drop-down which version of the documentation they want to read. Same logic with translations. So again, Scroll Documents offers you a way to manage translations of your content. Then in Scroll Sites, you can say which ones you want to publish, and users can choose. And last but not least, same goes for variants, also a feature available in Scroll Documents to be able to, for example, say, differentiate your documentation into the different pricing tiers of your app, or, I don't know, the different audiences and users versus admins. Then you can connect your help desk to it. So this is our own help center at help.k15t.com, which many of you know. And we use Jira Service Management as our help desk. So thanks to the integration, users can, from the comfort of our help center, write a support ticket to us, which we will then answer. You can also bring your help center content into other places. So for example, into your own application or into your website. So we have done it ourselves, for example, in Scroll Viewport now. You can click a small button here, a question mark button, and then the content from the Help Center shows up, again, from the comfort of the application. People don't need to open a new tab or anything. And then you can also enhance the search thanks to our AI search. So users can phrase their questions as natural language queries, type it in, and then our AI search feature summarizes an answer from the content that it has found across various articles. You can also choose to make your site either public, which is the default setting, or protected behind a login. And then obviously you can customize the look and feel. So whatever theme you choose, additionally to that, you'll be able to brand the site to make it recognizable and just true to your brand. And then also, this is new now in Scroll Sites. You can choose how changes get published to your site. So either you choose live updates, meaning every time you change something in Confluence, it will go live immediately to your site, or you choose manual updates, which is the default option right now and the only option in Scroll Viewport. With that method, you basically have to click a button whenever you want to bring changes from Confluence to your website. Now you have the full flexibility. You can also keep track of your changes, see everything that has been published in the last hours, weeks, and what is still to come. You can diagnose issues, like, for example, if linked content isn't found or there's a broken attachment, you will know by looking at the site issue report. And then also, that's new, you can configure your site's URL structure to be flat or to be hierarchical and reflecting the position of the page in the page tree. And I think this is one of the last points. You can connect your own custom domain with, like we did with help.k15t.com, and create redirects to recover broken links in case you have them. So all in all, this is what's in for Scroll Sites, and hopefully you'll be able to test it very, very soon. So now I will hand it over to Shannon to talk a little bit more about blogging in Confluence. You're muted, Shannon. Sorry.
Thank you. So why use Confluence for blogging, right? We know that many teams, probably a lot of the folks who are already here today, that you're using Confluence for your product documentation, other types of documentation. So what makes it the right fit for a blog? And as many of you already know, blogs are a native feature of Confluence. It's actually one of my favorite features. I think it was the first thing that I ever did at K15T was create my introduction blog post and share it with the company. So that was how I first experienced Confluence, and I love it. So for most teams who are using Confluence as an intranet like we do, this is a great way to keep your team up to date, share updates like big releases or other company news. Here are just some of the ways that we use the native blog feature. So we actually use it every single week to publish it's called our weekly update. We share that every Monday. And we use that to share important updates and milestones. Like a couple weeks ago was an anniversary, a 10-year anniversary for one of our folks here. We also encourage our new team members to publish their introduction posts when they join, so we can learn a little bit about them. Then, of course, like many teams, we have a hybrid way of working. So we use the blogs to just keep each other up to date on what's going on. So, for example, like we visited the Atlassian office and what happened there, or maybe we attended a cool conference and we want to let everybody know what happened. We use blogs to share internal events, like we actually have our hackathon going on this week. So we encouraged everybody to get involved. And then, of course, big releases. So I've personally been using blogs to keep everyone at K15T up to date with the Scroll Sites launch and what the team is up to. And all of that to say, Confluence blogs are already a really great feature within the platform, and it's an awesome way to keep everybody informed. Really easy to create an update, add your content, work with different layouts and macros, images, even Loom videos. We use Loom videos, and then just hit publish and share it with either everyone in your team or even across the company. So for us, we see it as a natural next step that this is something that you would also want to share outside of the team in the form of a blog. And with Scroll Sites, we are actually going to make it possible to publish Confluence blogs as a content type. So in addition to pages and scroll documents, which is what we enable today in Scroll Viewport, you will also be able to select blogs. So you can create all kinds of blogs, knowledge blogs, product blogs, educational blogs, you name it. And rather than write and collaborate on your content in another system, what if that could all be in Confluence? And even better, what if it could look and feel like a custom website? What if it could look and feel like your brand? And that's where these new blog themes come in. So the themes will make it easy to publish engaging, structured content for any type of audience. So whether you're sharing product updates, release notes, expert insights, these themes will offer just a more optimized layout for readability, discoverability, a bit different, obviously, than what we have in the Help Center theme. And there will be 2 variants of the blog themes that you'll see. Rather than listen to me talk about them, I'd like to actually hand over to Simon now to show you how these themes will look in practice. Simon, it's all yours.
Yeah, Thanks, Shannon. So yeah, I'm excited to share the block themes we've been working on. So we've set up 2 demo sites. This is the first one with the knowledge block theme. And yeah, as you see, the block theme supports the most common things you would expect from a block. You have like block categories. We have a search. We have a main headline, a main blog post, which is promoted here as the first element. Then we can define some featured blog posts, which will then appear here. And these are some other regular blog posts. You can also define teasers in the theme. So for example, if you want to teaser a certain event or something, you can use these to create call to actions. And you can also modify all the footer links of the blog. So if you want to link to your imprint page on your main website, for example, or to your privacy policy, that's possible as well. So if we click on one of these posts, this is how it looks like then. On the right, we have the table of contents, which is a way to quickly navigate through the blog post. So yeah, if the content is long enough, of course, this makes sense. And you have different share possibilities, which you can also configure in the post, yeah, in the theme settings. Yeah, we also support like different things in the content, like images, headlines, list elements, videos, things like that. And underneath the post, there are related posts, which are either posts that are from the same category as the post you're currently looking at, or you also have the flexibility to customize what you want to show for each post as the related post. So now let's check out how the theme settings area looks like, what you can configure. And so first of all, you can, of course, change like the block name, which is displayed here up on the top left. You can define the headline on the start page of the block. Yeah, define a different description text. You can also upload your company logo. And if you do that, it will appear on the top left instead of the block name. And you can influence all kinds of different colors. So you can make the block somehow match your main website through this. And you can also choose between a few different Google Web Fonts. So next up, we have the categories section where you configure the blog's categories. So each category has a name, of course, and also a slug, which may be a familiar term if you know WordPress, for example. The slug is basically used in the URL. So if, for example, yeah, this is the slug of the category security. And later on, this also plays a role when you reference a certain blog post to a category. You will also need that, but I'll show that in a few minutes. So then we have like this layout section where you can, for example, disable the search capability, or if you have like a very text-heavy blog that doesn't contain preview images, you can also just disable preview images for the entire blog. And you can also specify which sharing possibilities you want to enable. So for example, if you don't like mask, you can disable the X sharing. And internally, we also create some downsized images of your post that are made for sharing on social media. So yeah, that the post also looks there nicely in your LinkedIn timeline, for example. And down here, this is where you configure the footer area of the blog. You can split up the footer links into multiple sections, and then each section can have yeah, some different links. But we also have like another layout mode for this footer area where you can just define like a flat list of links. So if you, I don't know, only have 2 links or something, then like this other mode makes probably more sense to use. Next up, we have this actions settings area. Here you can define the content of this top banner up here. So you can enable it, disable it, or even configure it so that it, for example, only gets shown on the start page. And you can define a call to action here. So that's like the top banner. And what you can also do here is define the content of these teaser areas down here. So this also includes like uploading a small preview image, which here you barely see because it's like in the background with a high transparency. Then we have this label section where you can change the wording of certain labels that appear in the theme. So I don't know, if you search for something, there are no search results, and the text no search results is something you can modify here somewhere, I think, at least. Yeah. Maybe not, but I think you get the idea. This is also important if you want to translate or have the block in a different language. So at the moment, we only support like one language at the time, but you can just translate all the labels into some other language if your block is a German block, for example. So then we have the advanced section. Here you can add some custom JavaScript to your block. So this can be useful if you want to, for example, add like the Google Tag Manager or other analytics things. And you can also add some custom CSS here. So yes, so one thing I didn't mention earlier is like what I showed you was the knowledge block theme, but we also have like the second one, right? The product block theme. And like from a technical perspective, it's about 95% identical to the knowledge block theme. So all the settings I just showed to you, they also apply to this theme here. So the main difference, besides that it of course like looks a bit different, is that here in this theme you have these horizontal sliders on the start page, and these can, for example, contain like the latest posts, but you can also configure certain block categories you want to have shown up here on the start page. So yeah, that's the product block theme. And now in this tab here, I have a Confluence page open. So scroll sides, it has different ways to define content sources, right? And as mentioned earlier, one of these sources is that you hook it up with your internal Confluence block. And I think that's actually like the best fit like for this theme, of course, because like internal block make it external through this theme. And so this here is the hero post. And what makes it the hero post? It's basically the fact that this page/post has the page label hero. So, and then the theme knows, okay, we will pick that up and make it the main thing in the block. If you don't have any post with a hero label, the theme will automatically use the latest post as the hero element. And another thing here is that also through page labels, you can tell the theme which category the post belongs to. So a post can belong to one or multiple categories or none at all. That's also a possibility. And you do that by adding a label that starts with category minus and then followed by the category slug. So that's what I showed earlier, right? Which is also used in the URL then. And yeah, that's how the theme knows about that. So in the post itself, I already said we support like the typical elements you would expect in a blog, like text, of course, image, video, different sorts of headlines, list elements, and stuff like that. And so if we go on to edit, what's also probably relevant is that you can use the excerpt macro in Confluence in order to define the preview text, which will then show up on overview pages. So yeah, this text here, for example. And you can also put in an image into the excerpt macro, and then the theme will use that as the preview image. And if there's no image in the excerpt macro, the theme will look into the content and use the first image it finds there as the preview image. I mean, we still have to test if that's like the right approach, or some people have like some small icons as the first image. Then it's probably not the right fit. So we might change that, but that's how it currently is, at least. Yeah, what else is there to say? So we also have like a bunch of other features. So you can, for example, create a blog series or a post series where you have like multiple posts that belong to the same topic, and then we will render like a small navigation, the blog post, so you can navigate just between the posts in the series. You can define multiple authors through page properties and and a few other things as well. So we have a landing page on our website, which has like the basic information about these themes. And this also contains a link to a help page where everything gets explained. And the most important questions, of course, is like, first, when will this be available? And the answer is it's available now, but it's in beta at the moment. So you can just try it out after requesting a beta access to Scroll Sites. And we think we'll probably release it as a paid version then sometime maybe end of June, beginning of July, so something around that in that time frame. And for the pricing, we will start with the pricing. Wait a second, I think.
Oh, sorry. I just switched over to the slides.
No worries. Yeah, so the pricing, it will simply be $15 a month for a theme, regardless of how many seats you have in your Confluence instance. So maybe we will change the price later to a higher price point. So better get it early, right? But yeah, so that's at least like the starting price point. Yeah, that's, I think, it for now from my side. So I'm happy to answer blog theme related questions later in the Q&A. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, we already got a few, but before we dive into that, just want to make it really easy for you all. If you don't even want to wait until the end to go and see that page, you can go ahead and scan this QR code and learn more about the blog themes, and obviously get in touch with the Gorilla Apps team as well. And yeah, I know that there have been some questions already on where Scroll Sites is at with the beta. So just to give you a quick overview of what that looks like right now. So from now until Q3, we are in this private beta. So if you've not been included yet, we are working on it. So it's officially started and we're adding people in waves. And the reason for that is not every feature will be available right away. So we're trying to make sure that we're carefully adding the folks who've signed up at a relevant time. So for example, we don't have authentication there yet. So if that's something that your team is relying on and will need to test as a part of the beta, it makes sense to add you at that time when that's going to be available. What's great though about this blog use case is if somebody wants to create a blog experience like the one that you saw in the demo just now, that is completely possible without too many of the features that you rely on with Scroll Viewport. So if that's something that you want to do already, we will be happy to add you to the beta earlier, and so that you can try out these themes and give not only us, but also the Gorilla Apps team some feedback. So I will be sending out a follow-up email along with the recording of this session, and I will add some information in there on how you can just reply to that email, give us a little bit of information, and we'll get you started. So that's what's happening right now. The plan is that we have an official launch of Scroll Sites in Q3. So at that time, the Scroll Viewport listing will transition over to Scroll Sites. Existing users, you will still be able to use Viewport. There will be a period of transition where you can have both apps enabled. And I think somebody had asked a couple questions about migration and what that looks like. We will be providing you with information throughout that time period so that you can have everything smoothly transitioned over to the new experience. Then later in the year, we aim to hit feature parity with Scroll Sites. So ideally, Scroll Sites actually surpasses Viewport in its capabilities. And then early next year, the plan is to phase out Scroll Viewport. So ideally, there's enough time for you to complete the transition. And by this point, all of our existing Scroll Viewport users, you will have all the information that you need to do that. And you'll have everything that you have today with the app, and ideally even more. So what can you do now before we dive into the Q&A? Just another reminder, I think everybody has maybe already seen this page and signed up. I know we have a lot of our beta subscribers already. But if you haven't, go ahead and check out that page, sign up for the beta so that we have your information, we can add you at the right time, and that we can also keep you up to date on the product progress. And with that, it is time to dive into the Q&A. So I will go ahead and stop share. And I've been trying to keep track of a lot of questions so far, and I've separated them into sites and or questions that are surrounding Scroll Sites in particular, and then some for the Gorilla Apps team. I think let's start with some questions for the Gorilla Apps team, just that we get you both involved. So the first one, do you plan to have some kind of form as a part of the theme so that I can have the option to display a newsletter sign-up form on my blog?
Oh, yeah, that's the perfect question because we are already prepared for that question, right? So, the idea is that we enable a way for you to add an overlay to the blog, and then as like the content source of that overlay, you can define the content of for an iframe. So this means like whatever newsletter service you have, they'll probably have like some share snippet code, some sign up form, and then you paste that into the iframe, and that's the current plan. So, but it's not in the app yet, but it will be available until launch.
Great. Cool. This one actually references the part of the demo where you were talking about the excerpt feature in Confluence. So does the excerpt also go into the meta description of the post?
Yeah, so I also just read that question, so I just had to double check, but it actually goes into the meta description, and it also goes into like the OG description used for like the open graph, which is then pulled out when you share out the site on social media.
Cool. Good. This one sounds like a good reference to the product blog theme. But one thing our users often ask is the possibility to view recently added or updated articles, since it is difficult to find find that out as it is now in Scroll Viewport. Will this be possible in scroll sites with a label, or do we need to add things like release notes, etc., as blogs for users to find to know which ones are the latest releases? So I guess this could be a blog question. It could also be related to our Help Center theme. So Laura or Simon, feel free.
Yeah, since this was asked by a Scrum Report current Scrum Report customer, I'm just also assuming it goes a little bit into the Help Center direction. So at the moment, this is actually a request that we do get often, like how can I, it even goes further to say, how can I subscribe to updates in the Help Center and so on. But if you want to show your users a list of articles that are new or have been changed, the easiest way at the moment is to add the recently updated macro from Confluence to one of your pages. And then you can link it from the header or wherever you want. Usually what we always say is like you make use of the news section in the Help Center theme to post these articles in there, or post a curation of all of the recent changes. But yeah, I think this might be a really good use case also for adding a block to your Help Center where you provide more like, release notes that are more not so technical, but more focused on like the new features with images and so on, use case description. So maybe this is more about complementing your Help Center with a block that you can then link from the Help Center's header, for example. Yeah, and I don't know if, I think the block theme, Simon, correct me if I'm wrong, the articles are always, or they can be sorted by most recent, right?
Yeah, that's how they sort it by default.
Cool, thanks. There were a couple recent questions. I think we do need to clarify that. So we've got Gorilla Apps, we've got K15T, we've got Scroll Sites. What's the relationship between all of us? So Gorilla Apps is a separate firm, a separate company. They have developed these themes for us at K15T. K15T, we're the creators of Scroll Sites. And just to clarify that in how these themes are available, with Scroll Sites, the Help Center theme comes out of the box. That's something that is the case today, will be the case in the future. What Gorilla Apps has created are these two themes, which will be optionally available if you would like to purchase them in order to sort of add more to your website experience. Did I explain that well enough? Cool.
Yeah, there's also a question more of like the ownership of the Atlassian marketplace listing. So it still remains in K15T's hands. It's really just the theming aspect that is handled by Gorilla Apps if you use that theme.
Cool. We have some additional questions that I think some folks already answered throughout the chat, but I'll surface a couple of them again. A very interesting one about live pages. So that is something that Atlassian has recently released. So how will live updates coexist with live pages in Confluence?
Yeah, so TV also in the chat answered that. So I think there was an interesting discussion, and the conclusion was maybe you shouldn't use live updates for your documentation, which I fully agree with. So but if in case you do use it, it does work with it, because at the end of the day, if you create a live page, we will receive a webhook event, which our live update feature relies on. But in practice, we have seen there quite a bit of delay with it. So I think for technical documentation, if you're serious about it, you might not want to enable live updates, the Confluence feature live updates, live pages exactly, in your space where you author your documentation, and then just enable live updates in Viewport. And then as soon as the changes are properly made in Confluence, they do go live in Scroll Sites. But yeah, I would say that's probably our best practice recommendation in this regard.
Great. A new one from Frank. Hi, Frank. So in Jira Service Management, so in JSM, there's an integration of Confluence to search for knowledge base articles. So how will the integration work when we want to use Scroll Sites for the public documentation? Good question.
Yeah, so Scroll Sites and Jira Service Management do not integrate on that level. So the only integration we have at the moment is the one that I showed you earlier, where you can take the widget from JSM and insert it in your help desk to allow users to create support tickets from the help center side. Now, what we would recommend, and you can also check this out if you go to help.k15t.com and click support on top, you'll see how we handle it. We use the Jira Service Management portal, but we don't have the search in there because the search is essentially people should go to help.k15t.com, our help center, to search for articles. So we would say disable that integration with that knowledge base integration with JSM and push more for the promote your viewport or scroll site help center more, because we are not able to show scroll viewport or scroll sites article in JSM. It's only able to surface the Confluence view, which is quite restricted in the UX. So we wouldn't necessarily recommend that.
Good. So this question, it was earlier on in the session, but I'll surface it again. So are there any changes coming around site access options from Scroll Viewport? So in terms of token authentication, domain login?
Yeah, I believe I answered that somewhere, but there will be no crucial changes. So you'll still have the option to either have your site public, which is still the default option, and then the token protection, and then the more sophisticated single sign-on protection. Yeah, no news in that regard.
So in addition to SAML, could we add an OAuth option?
No, that's not possible at the moment. That might come in the future, but not for the first release of scroll sites. Oh, OAuth. Sorry, OAuth is sorry, my head was thinking another protocol that coexists with SAML. So auth O. Okay, Brian, you wrote OAuth. So I'm not sure what OAuth is. If it's auth O, that's an identity provider that is supported at the moment.
Sometimes called
yeah.
OpenID.
OpenID. Yes, no, OpenID, the OpenID protocol is not supported. Yeah, might come in the future, but not at the moment. So only SAML.
Great. So yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of other questions around things like, when is sites going to be available? Will we support things like, the migration experience? Yes. So that is something that we will definitely make sure you all have the right information for. And as I said, we're aiming for Q3, so next quarter, to try to get this product out so you can all use it. And I mean, does anybody have any more questions about the blog themes, especially while we have the Gorilla Apps team here? If not, there we go.
Scroll documents.
So I mean, in the block theme, so we would need to check that out. I think like we just support like any content source available by scroll site. So I guess scroll documents would probably work out of the box, I suppose. We didn't look into variants or how that would fit like in the block concept. We would have to think a bit about it.
So he means if you wanted to have a variant to select what kind of content you're looking at.
You can,
Okay,
I guess that's what you would call categories, right, Simon, in your concept, probably?
Yeah. So we have like categories built in the theme. Yeah, that would basically fulfill that.
Yeah. So variants does not work out of the box with the block theme. However, I think, Christian, if you want to try out what you have in mind with the categories feature that the block theme already has, I think it would be interesting in the future also for Gorilla Apps to understand where variants could play a role. We do have discussed already that translations is probably relevant, right? To be able to offer the block in multiple languages. So that's definitely something that we could explore together.
Simon used to be on the documents team, so he could just get back to his testing days. Great. If there are no other questions, is there a place we can purchase the shelf behind me? Well, don't look at the plants. The plants are not in great shape right now. I was trying to hide that the whole time. I can ask our wonderful office team where they've gotten these lovely shelves. I'm happy to share that with you, Josh. You'll have to buy better plants than ours. Ours are struggling for the moment. Good. Well, yeah, like I said, I will make sure that you all receive an email latest tomorrow. I'm going to actually try to get this recording out today. And that email will have all the information that you need in order to either A, sign up for the beta. If you haven't already, please do that. And B, if you really want to get started with these, just reply to that email with your information. And let's make sure you can actually try to set up your own blog. And with that, I will say thank you to our guests who joined us today. Thank you to everybody who joined, and thank you for the tough questions. We need them. I really hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to do more of these in the future. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
See you all next time. Bye.
Bye bye.